on socialism and the transitional path towards socialism in Vietnam. The nature and goals of socialism. Most of Ho Chi Minh's approaches and definitions of socialism were expressed in a simple, plain, and easily understandable manner, accessible to the general public. He viewed socialism primarily as the improvement of the material and spiritual life of the people, rather than focusing heavily on theoretical discussions about state ownership of the means of production. From Ho Chi Minh's definitions, one can clearly see that they reflect the essential and core characteristics of socialism. Summarizing these features, we find that socialism encompasses every aspect of social life, manifesting as an advanced and superior social system. Specifically, socialism is a social system with highly developed productive forces, closely linked with scientific, technical, and cultural progress, leading to a prosperous people and a strong nation. It practices social ownership of the means of production and implements the principle of distribution according to labor. Socialism establishes a democratic political regime in which working people are the masters of society and exercise mastery. The state belongs to the people, is established by the people, and serves the people. It is founded on great national unity, with the alliance of workers, peasants, and intellectuals at its core under the leadership of the Communist Party. Socialism creates a healthy, just, and equitable system of social relations, free from oppression, exploitation, and injustice, eliminating the division between manual and intellectual labor, between urban and rural life. People are liberated and able to develop comprehensively, and there is harmony between social and natural development. Socialism is of the people and must be built by the people themselves. Thus, the concept of socialism in Ho Chi Minh's thought carries multiple meanings, which can be summarized as follows. Socialism as a historical, political, and social movement. Socialism as the ideology of the working class, in which Ho Chi Minh equated socialism with Marxism-Leninism. Socialism as the initial stage in the development of the communist socio-economic formation. Socialism and communism as social systems opposed to capitalism, the most brutal and exploitative form of which is colonialism, both old and new. The transitional path towards socialism in Vietnam. Karl Marx, Friedrich Engels, and V.I. Lenin all affirmed the objective necessity of a transitional period towards socialism and clarified its historical position and specific tasks within the broader process of development of the communist socio-economic formation. According to Marxist-Leninist theory, there are two general paths of transition to socialism. The direct transition from highly developed capitalist societies moving directly towards socialism. Marx viewed communism as an evolutionary development of human society, built upon the economic and social conditions created by capitalism, rather than as a model imposed from above. He stated, "For us, communism is not a state of affairs, which is to be established, not an ideal, to which reality will have to adjust itself. We call communism the real movement which abolishes the present state of things. The conditions of this movement result from the premises now in existence." The indirect transition from less developed capitalist or pre-capitalist countries advancing towards socialism with the assistance of socialist nations. This view was developed by Lenin and later by Stalin. Based on the Marxist-Leninist theory of uninterrupted revolution and the transitional period towards socialism, and considering Vietnam's concrete historical and social conditions, Ho Chi Minh affirmed that the Vietnamese revolutionary path must proceed by first carrying out national liberation, completing the people's national democratic revolution, and then gradually advancing towards socialism. In summary, Ho Chi Minh's views on the transitional path to socialism in Vietnam can be outlined as follows. The national liberation revolution must be accomplished first, followed by a gradual process of socialist construction. The path to socialism in Vietnam must be an indirect transition. According to Ho Chi Minh, when Vietnam entered the period of transition towards socialism, its greatest characteristic was that it was advancing from a backward agrarian economy directly to socialism without passing through the stage of capitalist development. This defining feature shaped all other characteristics of society, creating numerous contradictions. Among these, Ho Chi Minh emphasized the most fundamental contradiction: the conflict between the nation's strong desire for rapid, progressive development and its extremely low economic and social starting point. Therefore, The transition to socialism in Vietnam would be a complex, difficult, and prolonged revolutionary struggle. In this struggle, the entire society must strive under the leadership of the Communist Party of Vietnam, while also learning from the experiences of socialist construction and making full use of the assistance of advanced socialist countries such as the Soviet Union and the nations of Eastern Europe. The historical tasks of the transitional period towards socialism in Vietnam. According to Ho Chi Minh, the essence of the transitional period toward socialism in Vietnam is the process of transforming a backward economy into a modern one. Due to its inherent conditions and characteristics, this transition must be gradual, difficult, complex, and long-term. The historical tasks of this period consist of two major aspects: building the material and technical foundations of socialism, establishing the necessary economic, political, cultural, and ideological prerequisites for the socialist system, transforming the old society and building the new one, combining transformation with construction, of which construction is the central, essential, and long-term content. Ho Chi Minh emphasized the gradual and sequential nature of the transition to socialism. He explained its complexity and difficulty through several key points. First, it is a genuine revolution that transforms all aspects of social life: the productive forces and relations of production, the economic base, and the superstructure, raising and resolving a host of different contradictions simultaneously. Second, in the cause of socialist construction, the party, the state, and the people of Vietnam lacked prior experience, especially in the economic sphere. This was entirely new work for the Vietnamese Revolution, requiring learning by doing, with inevitable mistakes and shortcomings. Building a new society is always more complex and difficult than overthrowing an obsolete one. Third, the process of building socialism in Vietnam has constantly faced opposition and sabotage from both domestic and foreign reactionary forces. Ho Chi Minh's view on the content of building socialism in Vietnam. During the transitional period, politics: maintain and promote the party's leadership role, consolidate and expand the great national unity front, with the core being the alliance of workers, peasants, and intellectuals under the leadership of the Communist Party. Strengthen and enhance the power of the entire political system, as well as each of its components. Economy: emphasize the increase of labor productivity on the basis of socialist industrialization. Take agriculture as the leading front and strengthen the commercial system to serve as a bridge connecting various branches of social production. Develop the state-owned economic sector to create the material foundation for socialism and to promote socialist transformation. In 1953, in his work Political Primer, Thung Thuc Chin Tri, Ho Chi Minh identified 6 economic components in the resistance zones. To build and develop such a multi-sector economy, he proposed the party and government's economic policy with 4 key points. Both the public and private sectors should benefit. Both employers and workers should benefit. Workers and peasants should help each other. Internal and external circulation should be maintained. The state-owned economy represents the public sector. It forms the foundation and leadership force of the new democratic economy. Therefore, we must strive to develop it, and the people must support it. Those who sabotage it, steal public property, or commit tax fraud must be punished. The private sector refers to national capitalists and the individual economies of peasants and artisans. The government should assist them in developing their production. However, they must comply with national economic leadership and align with the interests of the majority of the people. By 1959, Ho Chi Minh continued to advocate allowing national capitalists in industry and commerce to own means of production, while gradually eliminating non-socialist ownership forms. This was to be done by encouraging self-employed workers and craftsmen to voluntarily form cooperatives, and by assisting national capitalists in transforming along socialist lines through public-private joint ventures and other forms of transformation. Some scholars believe that Ho Chi Minh was the first to advocate developing a multi-sector economic structure throughout the transitional period towards socialism in Vietnam. In Vietnam, the main forms of ownership of the means of production include state ownership, that is, ownership by the entire people; cooperative ownership, that is, collective ownership by working people; individual ownership by self-employed laborers; a small portion of the means of production owned by capitalists. The goal of our regime is to eliminate non-socialist ownership forms, transforming the complex multi-sector economy into a unified economy based on state and collective ownership. We must develop the state-owned economy to establish the material foundation for socialism and to promote socialist transformation. For craftsmen and other self-employed laborers, the state protects their property rights regarding means of production, actively guides and assists them in improving their work methods, and encourages them to voluntarily form cooperatives. For national industrial and commercial capitalists, the state does not abolish their ownership of means of production and other assets, but rather guides their activities towards serving the interests of the nation and the people, in accordance with the state's economic plan. At the same time, the state encourages and helps them to transform along socialist lines through public-private joint ventures and other suitable forms. On great national unity and the combination of national and global strengths. On great national unity. Ho Chi Minh's thought on great national unity was formed from several important foundations. The first is the Vietnamese tradition of patriotism, humanity, and community solidarity. This is the deepest and most fundamental basis for the formation of Ho Chi Minh's thought on great national unity. The second is the Marxist-Leninist view that revolution is the cause of the masses. Marxism-Leninism holds that revolution is the work of the people, who are the makers of history, that the proletariat can only lead the revolution successfully if it becomes a truly national class, and that the worker-peasant alliance is the foundation for building the great revolutionary force. These theoretical views gave Ho Chi Minh the scientific foundation to evaluate both the positive elements and the limitations within traditional patriotic movements and the unification strategies of earlier Vietnamese patriots and global revolutionaries, from which he developed his own thought on great national unity. The third foundation lies in his summation of the successes and failures of revolutionary movements in Vietnam and around the world. Before the August Revolution, unlike many other Communist Party leaders in Vietnam who focused primarily on the worker-peasant alliance as the core of the proletarian revolution and underestimated the revolutionary potential of other social classes, Ho Chi Minh paid close attention to mobilizing support from classes not considered part of the core proletarian force, such as the bourgeoisie, landlords, petty traders, and intellectuals. At that time, some of his comrades criticized Ho Chi Minh's reformist policy of forming alliances with the national bourgeoisie and small landlords, claiming it was inconsistent with the class struggle line of the Third International. Immediately after the establishment of the Democratic Republic of Vietnam, 1945 to 1946, when the nation was in an extremely perilous situation, described as 1,000 pounds hanging by a thread, Ho Chi Minh embodied his thought on great national unity, enabling the country to overcome the crisis and safeguard its fragile independence. He set aside political differences among factions and united various political parties to form a government with the goal of serving the nation, placing national independence above all else. Ho Chi Minh's views on great national unity can be summarized as follows. Great national unity is a strategic issue that determines the success of the revolution. It is both the primary goal and the foremost task of the revolution. Great national unity means unity of the entire people. Unity must be transformed into tangible strength and organized material force, expressed through the Great National Unity Front under the party's leadership. In his work, Learn Our History, Nen Hoc Su Ta, Ho Chi Minh wrote, "Our history teaches us this lesson. Whenever our people unite as one, our country gains independence and freedom. Conversely, whenever we are divided, foreign invaders seize our land. Therefore, we must unite quickly, and strengthen our unity continuously." On combining national strength with the strength of the times. Ho Chi Minh was among the first Vietnamese to participate in the international communist movement at a time when no political organization in Vietnam had yet adopted communist ideology. He was a member of the Third Communist International and was the person who unified separate communist organizations in Vietnam into a single political party under the International's direction. Ho Chi Minh served as the vital link between the Vietnamese proletarian revolutionary movement and the international communist movement. Through Ho Chi Minh, the Vietnamese Revolution received tremendous support from socialist countries such as the Soviet Union, China, and others. Many key Vietnamese revolutionary leaders were sent by him to study political and military science in the Soviet Union or China. From direct experience, Ho Chi Minh recognized that imperialism was an international reactionary force, the common enemy of working people in both colonial and imperialist countries. To defeat it, he saw the need for a united front between colonial workers and those in the metropole. Isolated forces could never triumph alone. This was the key distinction between Ho Chi Minh and earlier patriotic leaders and revolutionaries of the early 20th century. It reflected his deep understanding of the power of the global communist movement and the necessity of aligning Vietnam's struggle for national independence with it. His view on linking the Vietnamese revolutionary movement with international revolutionary movements was in line with the guiding slogan of the international communist movement: workers of all countries, unite. Combining national strength with the strength of the times was his way of expressing that linkage. The content of this combination includes placing the Vietnamese Revolution within the broader context of the world proletarian revolution, closely integrating genuine patriotism with pure internationalism, maintaining independence and self-reliance while relying primarily on internal strength, seeking support from socialist countries and progressive humanity, and fulfilling Vietnam's noble international duties, maximizing friendship and cooperation, and being willing to be a friend to all democratic nations. According to Ho Chi Minh, we must enable the colonial peoples, who have long been separated from one another, to know and understand each other better and to unite, laying the foundation for a future Eastern alliance, which will serve as one wing of the proletarian revolution. On the Communist Party of Vietnam, on building a state of the people, by the people, and for the people, on the Communist Party of Vietnam. The Communist Party is the primary and decisive factor leading the Vietnamese Revolution to victory. The tremendous strength of the people can only be brought into full play when they are organized, united, and led by a political organization, the Communist Party of Vietnam. Ho Chi Minh affirmed, the strength of the working class and the laboring people is immense and inexhaustible. But this strength must have party leadership to ensure victory. A class without a party to lead it cannot make a revolution. In his 1927 book, The Revolutionary Path, Đường Cách Mệnh, Ho Chi Minh wrote, "What is the first necessity for a revolution? It must first have a revolutionary party, which internally mobilizes and organizes the people, and externally connects with oppressed nations and the proletariat everywhere. Only when the party is firm can the revolution succeed, just as only when the helmsman is steady can the boat sail." Ho Chi Minh emphasized, to avoid losing direction, the masses must have a party to lead them, to clearly perceive the situation, the line, and to set the right course. Revolution is a most arduous struggle. The enemy is powerful. To win, the masses must be tightly organized and determined. Therefore, there must be a party to organize and educate the people into a strong army capable of overthrowing the enemy and seizing power. Even after victory, the people still need the party's leadership. The Communist Party of Vietnam is the product of the combination of Marxism-Leninism with the workers' movement and the patriotic movement. The Communist Party of Vietnam must acknowledge its shortcomings, identify their causes, and make every effort to correct them. On building a state of the people, by the people and for the people. Ho Chi Minh's thought on building a state of the people, by the people, and for the people is reflected in the following key ideas. The state is the common servant of the people. Officials are not to work for promotion or profit. If the government harms the people have the right to dismiss it. He wrote, "What is the Democratic Republic government? It is the common servant of the people, from the national president down to the village level. The people are the masters, so the government must be the servant. Working today is not for promotion or wealth. If the government harms the people have the right to dismiss it. But when the people employ servants to work for them, they must also assist the government. If the government errs, it should be criticized, but not cursed. The state must put the people's interests above all else. Be close to the people, understand the people, and learn from them. Sincerely practice criticism and self-criticism, and set an example of diligence, thrift, integrity, uprightness, and impartiality. On the peasantry. Ho Chi Minh regarded the peasantry as the largest social force in the national movement, the foundation of national liberation struggles, closely bound to the working class. Exploited by French colonialists and their feudal and landlord collaborators, the peasants were ready to rise with the workers in the developing proletarian revolution. In the party's revolutionary strategy, he wrote, "The party must win over the majority of peasants and rely on poor peasants to carry out the agrarian revolution, overthrowing the great landlords and feudalists. The party must ensure that workers and peasants' organizations, unions, cooperatives, are not under the power or influence of national capitalists. The party must closely connect with the petty bourgeoisie, intellectuals, and middle peasants." Summarizing the revolutionary experience, Ho Chi Minh affirmed, throughout the revolutionary periods, our party has correctly grasped and solved the peasant question, thereby consolidating the worker-peasant alliance. Our party has struggled against both rightist and leftist tendencies that underestimated the peasantry's role as the main revolutionary force, the most important and reliable ally of the working class, and a fundamental force for building socialism. On the working class. All those who possess no means of production and must sell their labor to live, whether in industry or agriculture, regardless of their occupation, belong to the working class. The core of this class consists of industrial workers in factories, mines, railways, and so on. Artisans, shop employees, and poor peasants also belong to the working class, though only industrial workers fully embody its defining characteristics. The revolutionary traits of the working class are determination, thoroughness, collectivism, organization, and discipline. The working class is the most advanced productive force, responsible for overthrowing the capitalist and imperialist systems and building a new society. For these reasons, the working class can best comprehend and internalize the most revolutionary ideology, Marxism-Leninism. Their fighting spirit influences and sets an example for other social strata. Therefore, politically, ideologically, organizationally, and in action, the working class holds the leading role. On military affairs, Ho Chi Minh's military thought encompasses his views and theories on national defense, armed forces, and the principles governing armed insurrection and revolutionary war, linking politics and the military. It represents the application of Marxist-Leninist military theory to Vietnam's realities, integrating traditional Vietnamese military heritage and classical strategies with modern military science. A key foundation of his military thought is the principle that the people are the root, encapsulated in the saying, "The army and the people are as close as fish and water." All strength arises from the people. Another foundation is political leadership. In Ho Chi Minh's view, the military must serve political objectives. Political struggle and military struggle are inseparable. For this reason, political officers and commissars in the People's Army are tasked with political education and ideological leadership. He conceived war in Vietnam as a people's war against foreign invasion, involving three categories of forces: the regular army, the regional forces, and the militia and self-defense units. This three-tier army structure continued Vietnam's traditional military organization, where village militias, regional troops, and royal forces all joined in combat. Guerrilla warfare was the foundation, combined with regular warfare, using small to harass large, positioned to overcome strength, integrating political morale with appropriate military tactics. The basic strategy against invading forces began with harassment to exhaust the enemy and undermine morale, then political pressure to compel withdrawal. Ho Chi Minh described the Indochina War vividly. "It will be a war between the elephant and the tiger. If the tiger stands still, the elephant will crush it to death. But the tiger does not stand still. It hides in the jungle by day and comes out at night. It leaps on the elephant's back, tears great chunks of flesh, and disappears into the dark forest again. Gradually, the elephant bleeds to death. The war in Indochina will be like that." This military doctrine emphasized balanced force building and attrition, stockpiling supplies and weapons, lying in wait during the dry season, and attacking at night and in the rainy season. On democracy in his political primer, 1953, Ho Chi Minh identified the characteristics of democracy in Vietnam as follows. Under the leadership of the Communist Party and the working class, based on the worker-peasant alliance, the laboring people are the masters of the country, building a people's democratic dictatorship. Democracy for the people and dictatorship over reactionary forces. The ideology of the working class, Marxism-Leninism, is the guiding thought, constantly developing and strengthening. The Communist Party leads the working class and the laboring people. Under party leadership, the people have revolutionary mass organizations, trade unions, peasant associations, youth and women's unions, through which democracy is realized and socialism and communism are built. Ho Chi Minh viewed democracy as the power of the people. We have sacrificed to make the revolution. Therefore, we must carry it through. Meaning that power must belong to the majority of the people, not to a small handful. Only then will the people avoid having to sacrifice again, and only then will they be truly happy. He called democracy a precious treasure, not something naturally given, but a hard-won revolutionary achievement for which the Vietnamese people struggled and sacrificed. Democracy, he said, means letting the people speak. Don't make them afraid to speak. But what's worse is when they no longer care to speak. When the people lose confidence and stop participating in public affairs, the distance between the party and the people has grown too wide. Democracy enables both officials and citizens to show initiative. Practicing democracy releases people's creative potential and becomes a driving force for progress and development. Conversely, he noted, when officials and people show little initiative or enthusiasm, the main reason is our leadership has not been democratic. The people, he insisted, are the decisive factor in all revolutionary victories. Therefore, party members must master party policy, stay close to the people, understand their lives and aspirations, set a moral example, respect the people's right to mastery, and listen to their opinions. Regarding democratic centralism, Ho Chi Minh stressed that all state organs must be unified and centralized, from local councils and resistance committees to the National Assembly and the central government. The minority must obey the majority. Lower levels must obey higher levels. Local authorities must obey the central government. Thus, democracy and centralization go hand in hand. He was uncompromising toward those who used the banner of democracy to oppose the revolution. Democracy is the most precious asset of the people, and dictatorship is the lock and gate that guards it. Democracy and dictatorship must go together. To have real democracy, there must be genuine dictatorship, for without it, the enemies will destroy the people's democracy. He explained that under capitalism and feudalism, dictatorship meant the rule of a minority over the majority. Under democracy, dictatorship means the rule of the majority over the reactionary minority that opposes the people's interests and the democratic regime. On class, all material wealth in society is created by workers and peasants. Through their labor, society survives and develops. Yet, while the majority of laborers remain poor, a small minority who do not work enjoy the fruits of their labor. This is because they have appropriated society's means of production as private property. Those who own the means of production but do not labor themselves, forcing others to work for them, constitute a class, the exploiting class, or bourgeoisie. Those who labor but do not receive the full value of their work are the exploited class, or the working class. On culture, according to Ho Chi Minh, all creations and inventions constitute culture, and culture lights the way for the nation to advance. Culture holds a vital position, role, and function. It must guide the nation forward, inspire ideals of independence and self-reliance, and instill resistance to corruption, laziness, and extravagance. He identified three main areas of culture: educational culture, literary artistic culture, and lifestyle culture. Revolutionaries, he said, must reform old culture and create new cultural values. On morality overview, morality was one of Ho Chi Minh's lifelong and central concerns. He not only left theoretical works on ethics, but also sought to embody moral example himself. His moral thought combined Confucian ethical principles with the revolutionary moral doctrines of Lenin, Stalin, and Mao Zedong. To him, morality is the foundation of human character. Therefore, revolutionaries must have pure hearts and noble virtues. Morality must accompany talent. He defined morality through three relationships: toward oneself, toward others, and toward work. He constantly urged cadres to strengthen revolutionary morality and eliminate individualism. Ho Chi Minh was a leader who gave exceptional attention to revolutionary ethics, from youth to his final years. Early in his career, he educated origins. Ho Chi Minh's moral thought represents a synthesis of the finest ethical values of the Vietnamese nation with the moral quintessence of humanity. A harmony between tradition and modernity, between Eastern and Western values, formed and developed from the demands of the national liberation cause. According to Ho Chi Minh, only by studying Marxist-Leninist theory can one strengthen revolutionary ethics, maintain a firm stance, enhance understanding and political awareness, and successfully accomplish the tasks entrusted by the party. When discussing new ethical contents and qualities, Ho Chi Minh often used traditional Vietnamese idioms and proverbs, but creatively transformed their meanings, infusing them with revolutionary content and modern significance. Revolutionary ethics do not negate traditional morality. Rather, they encompass and elevate it. Traditional ethics evolve into revolutionary ethics. Ho Chi Minh's moral philosophy is communist in nature, yet profoundly Vietnamese in both substance and expression. It is the creative integration of the Marxist-Leninist humanistic worldview with the Vietnamese national tradition, a tradition that highly values human character and moral conduct, expressed in sayings such as, "Plant virtue so your children may reap the fruits," and even the smallest favor must be repaid 1,000-fold. Within Ho Chi Minh's moral legacy, patriotism harmonizes with internationalism. In the traditional sense, great righteousness meant saving the nation. In the revolutionary and modern sense, it became the ideal of socialism. Traditional heroism evolved into revolutionary heroism. President Ho Chi Minh taught, "Be loyal to the country, be filial to the people." Revolutionary ethics encompass virtues and relationships that are broader, deeper, and more progressive than traditional morality, such as opposing individualism, fostering collective consciousness, cultivating a sense of duty and responsibility, and devoting one's entire strength and heart to serving the nation, the revolution, and the people. Confucianism was one of the intellectual roots shaping Ho Chi Minh's ethical thought. Born into a Confucian family, he understood that Confucianism is not a religion, but a science of moral experience and social conduct. Confucius was regarded as the foremost sage, revered because his morality, learning, and knowledge earned the admiration of both his contemporaries and posterity. His morality was perfect. Ho Chi Minh once wrote, "We Annamites should perfect ourselves spiritually by reading the works of Confucius." Essence Ho Chi Minh's ethics bear the nature of the working class. They embody the unity of politics and morality. They unite thought with action, theory with practice, words with deeds. They harmonize virtue with talent. They integrate revolutionary ethics with daily, ordinary morality. They combine moral governance, rule by virtue, with legal governance, rule by law. Ho Chi Minh's ethical thought is comprehensive and all-encompassing. On humanism, Ho Chi Minh's humanism is reflected in his steadfast struggle to denounce crimes against humanity and his profound faith in the strength, dignity, and aspiration of people toward truth, goodness, and beauty. According to him, human beings are both the goal and the driving force of the revolution. For that reason, he dedicated his entire life to the happiness of humankind within a just society and regarded the education and cultivation of people as the foremost strategy